TYT is partnering with participant media to help solve the climate crisis. Wouldn't that be great? Now, look, you got to check out our series, 10 Days of Action, to learn more about what you can do to make a difference. And go see an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, in theaters in New York and LA on July 28th and nationwide August 4th.
Following Donald Trump's decision to randomly and surprisingly ban transgender individuals from the military through a series of tweets, people started questioning the medical costs that taxpayers essentially have to pay for when it comes to members of our military and also veterans. And so Trump's argument was, it's gonna be too expensive to take care of the medical procedures for these trans veterans, when in reality, it's only going to be a tiny fraction of what the Pentagon pays in healthcare costs. And then people brought up the example of erectile dysfunction drugs and how the Pentagon actually does spend a considerable amount of money on that. So just to give you the exact numbers, the Pentagon's annual spending on erectile dysfunction medications is about $84 million a year. When it comes to transition-related healthcare for trans military members, the Rand Institute estimated that at most it would be $8.4 million. So again, it's a tiny fraction of what they spend on erectile dysfunction drugs, let alone what they spend on healthcare overall for our military members. Now, keep in mind that they also have spent a whopping $294 million on Viagra, Cialis, and other such medications since 2011. So we're spending a lot of money on making sure that our vets and our military get the stiffies that they need, which is fine. I actually have no problem with that. Okay, because a lot of our members, a lot of military members suffer from PTSD. That leads to erectile dysfunction. Look, we need to do right by our soldiers, okay? I think that's the right thing to do. And I'm not gonna get in there and be like, what are you doing? Are you taking erectile dysfunction drugs? Am I paying for it, right? I don't wanna get involved in their lives like that. But the right wing does, so.
Yeah, so just give me some perspective here. Look, I believe in the troops' rights to stand a post or to raise the flag. And so I'm not trying to take that away from them. But you can't complain about how expensive it is to provide healthcare for trans soldiers and then say something that's completely optional. I mean, I know what you're thinking if you're a guy, like, I don't know that sex is optional, right? Okay, I hear you, brother, but it's not life-saving, it's not part of your identity, and it's et cetera, et cetera. I'm not trying to take it away from you, but it costs 10 times more.
Right.
So it is not about the cost. And look, that goes to the idea that people bring up, which is that, most of the lawmakers are males. So when it comes to Viagra and all that stuff, they just don't question it. They're like, of course we need erections. But this is, which monstrous person wouldn't want me to be able to get medication and pay for it that allows me to have stiffies? But then when you turn around and Rush Limbaugh says, if you want birth control, you're a slut.
Yeah, that's right.
And why should health insurance have to pick up birth control, which is a super tangential to Rush Limbaugh and whatever bills he pays for healthcare, right?
Right, and look, to be quite honest with you, we put our soldiers through so much, multiple deployments, taking them away from their friends and their families multiple times just so they can go to these senseless wars in the Middle East. And so they go through a lot, not only physically, but psychologically. And so when it comes to, psychological issues that they face, of course, PTSD is one of the biggest issues that, in my opinion, continues to go untreated. They're still not being given the resources necessary to combat that. But hey, you know what? Private contractors, there's no problem signing contracts with them and making them wealthy while we, essentially put our soldiers at risk. Just to give you numbers, I want to read this because it's unbelievable. So there was a study in 2014 by the Armed Forces Health Surveillance Branch, and they found that 100,242 cases of erectile dysfunction were diagnosed among active service members between 2004 and 2013, with annual incidence rates more than doubling in that time period.
Wow, that's really interesting.
So we've been escalating war, in the Middle East, and it's having a negative impact on them. So look, I'm saying all this because I don't want to get involved in their lives. I don't want to tell them what drugs they can and can't take, what should be covered, what shouldn't be covered. But I think the same type of respect should be extended to the trans community as well, especially if they're going to put their lives on the line to defend the country.
And one last stat for you guys. In Donald Trump's just first 80 days, okay, not all the way through his administration, the expenses that the American taxpayer had to pick up for just his optional trips to Mar-a-Lago so that he can golf on the weekends, something he criticized President Obama for, was $20 million. So what, about 2.5 times what it takes to cover all trans people in the military, all their healthcare needs. So if you actually cared about saving taxpayers money, if all you had to do was miss a couple of golfing outlets, trips, and then we'd be covered. He doesn't care about the cost when it comes to him going and doing free ads for Mar-a-Lago and golfing. He couldn't care less. This is to discriminate and to rile up his base and to do distraction. It is the most obvious thing in the world.
So we all know that it's not really about the cost, but it seemed completely out of nowhere that he tweeted these things, right? And we suspected that it was a distraction. But I realized something last night after the show. Look, he is aggressively attacking Jeff Sessions, his attorney general. And the reality is the right wing loves Jeff Sessions. They love the fact that he's against immigration, he's against amnesty. He's just, right wing 101. He is the embodiment of what the right wing loves. And so if he's attacking Jeff Sessions this aggressively, that might turn off his base a little bit, right? So how does he appeal to his base again? He starts with the demagoguery again. He starts talking about, all these violent and dangerous immigrants. I don't know if you covered it, but he recently did a speech about undocumented immigrants, and he talked about MS-13 beheading people and just fear-mongering about them. Again, he's appealing to his base by doing this nonsense. It has nothing to do with cost. It has nothing to do with policy. He didn't even really think it through before tweeting it about it.
They say the Democrats do identity politics. What is this? This is identity politics. Don't worry, I'll protect you from the scary trans community. And look, if you're a Trump supporter, even you know it doesn't have to do with the cost. You know it for a fact. And right now you're going, yeah, I know, but those people shouldn't serve. It's a distraction. I don't want them in the foxhole or whatever. But you know it's not about the cost, and you know that Trump is lying about that.